MVP caliber TN versus, you know, maybe LVP caliber TN is huge. But going back on Shanks with no flash here.
Yeah, they need to get the seismic zone from Xiaohu to make sure they can get this kill.
Oh, they got it.
Are going to land it across, throwing the stones right at Shanks' noggin, and they will punish that early flash. TN looking a bit more like MVP TN, just like you were talking about, K-Man.
Yeah, that's a big play to make because quietly it's actually been a decent lead for Shanks in the mid lane already. Again, as you would expect in the Orianna matchup, as we see more trading coming down the heel. Once again, burned from Erha. That thing's been on cooldown since the beginning of the game. But I really like the play mid lane. I think you have to try and get Xiaohu into this and move him around the map, get him at least neutral in terms of the gold, which is what happened. But because of that small early lead that Shanks have been able to generate, it is still just neutral, even after that play. Still 300 gold lead for AL. AL, of course, going to have to back off. No lane swap coming in, though. We're hitting about 6 minutes into the game, and both bot lanes still fighting it out 2v2 down here. So definitely seeing more priority from these early game bot lanes. Kale!
Looks like both steel stacks. Who the hell's killing him on AL?
You're absolutely right. Like, we're talking about Orianna being a problem in the late game. Orianna's not bursting through a full tank Skarner. That's just not going to happen. So you need to make sure that you keep that Skarner in check. I think the 3 buff at the beginning of the game was a really nice way to start that off. For Tarzan, he is still up in tempo and up about 10 CS in terms of how things have gone. The Vi is going to continue to be a bit of a problem, especially with these Void Grubs spawning in about 1 minute here. But it's going to be up to that Vi to see what play he wants to make. Flantra even shadowing here in the mid lane. This could potentially be a 3-man onto Xiaohu.
Oh, all right, yeah, here we go. Shockwave going to pull him out of the spear range. Commits the flash, the double tap from Kyle. Not going to land, and the general is going to stand tall on his lonesome. Does burn his flash, but a lot of the resources used just to try and get that kill. Erha, though, going to have to be careful not to walk into Tarzan. He does have access to that cease and desist. Tien as well has that impale if he wants it. Seismic Strike's going to land, immediately goes for the impale, snags 2 just like that. But the turn comes out from Tarzan because they didn't have any damage. Light wasn't close enough. Xiaohu had cooldowns. The bailout will not save him, but luckily the flash play onto Shanks will make it a trade. So Weibo still going to stay up in the kill count.
Yeah, it's a really aggressive engage from AL. Tarzan understands that he's always going to be able to trade because of that ultimate. It looks like a gorgeous impale from Tien, but what did we say earlier? It's a little bit low damage coming in from Weibo. They just aren't able to burst down the members early enough. Tarzan's able to get that ult off. Xiaohu has to play so safe. Ends up without his flash, obviously has to really make sure that he's in an okay spot. Even then, he still ends up getting bursted down. 1 for 1 is okay, but look at where the gold is right now. It continues to go into the pocket of AL. That being said, Weibo first on the priority here to the Void Grips, which would be a ginormous get for them.
And it's going to be a get that they should be grabbing here for free. Tarzan is going to walk up late, but is completely spotted. Got Shanks nearby with Shockwave available. And Tien once again looking for an engagement. A quick use of that Vault Breaker and a flash having to come out from Tarzan. Going to buy some space. Arrow. Here's the Ash Arrow. Going to land onto Erha's level 5. He's 2 levels down to Kyle right now. We need that hostile takeover to assuage some of these pick plays, but no, the ultimate's not going to be used. Instead, it's going to be the Weaver's Wall. Hopes Arrow does go wide, but he flashes out of the first Talia play, and Tarzan's always looking for the turn. Good flash from Tien. Gets out of the Encore. Flandra does join the fray. So a lot of ultimates come off the board here, as one does tick online. Erha has access to that hostile takeover. Zael confidently still going to go for this dragon. But like we talked about, a couple of those engage tools down for AL. Not Shanks. Has the Shockwave. Tien going to go in with that E on the Skarner. The Shockwave completely whiffs from Shanks. He has to flash away from the Impale, but fortunately for Shanks, all of that chaos buys enough time for AL to secure the second dragon of the game, and cease and desist was left up into a perfect double tap from Kyle. They perfectly locked out Xiaohu, and the general is sent packing.
That was a 4v5. Like, what is happening? Breathe does not have teleport. He used it on the top side. He's split pushing as Ambessa. Even the Nidalee is able to make that fight. That is a gigantic mistake from Weibo Gaming. Another massive one is Xiaohu stepping up. What is it with him this series and just playing so far forward in these team fights? He's constantly in range of a lot of these big lockdown ultimates, and Tarzan happy to take advantage. I think if you really want to be generous, you can call the Shanks Shockwave a zoning ultimate, which we will hopefully talk about in a replay here, but it does separate. Term, right? Yes, it does separate Weibo Gaming. It does keep them away from the dragon, but just, again, it's miscommunication, and it's, quite frankly, sloppy play coming in from Weibo in a situation where they're really not all that far behind.
Nope, they're luckily still not, but now, in a game where you talked about there arguably being no scaling, there is a clear scaling bandage known as the Dragon Souls to play for, and while I really feel like Weibo lost the coin flip last game up 2 Drakes to 0 with the Cloud Soul, AL are, they've got luck on their side. Hextech Soul to play for, that'll really help woes of scaling in my mind.
Yeah, I think that that's fair to say, and I already...
A couple days ago, up against JDG of all teams, maybe we'll see a bit of the light that they showed in that series in this Rift Herald fight, as they do have AL pretty split off. Tarzan too far river on his own. They'll look to punish. Shanks is close by, but Tarzan has to flash away from the impale. Ash Arrow's going to go wide, as Tian didn't even have to commit the ultimate to get the flash down. There's another shockwave down. Shanks only finds one, so AL really struggling to sync their ultimate stuff together, and this game 2 is just getting really marred by the mistakes on both sides now.
Ooh, we talked about desperation for Weibo Gaming. That looked like desperation for AL. I assume they're going to back off here. It looks like Fondra's just stepping up to try to get some poke down. Some damage coming in on the mid turret.
Tarzan, you have the aggro! Oh my god. Tarzan's down. Breathe is unleashed. Am I watching playoff LPL? I'm completely rattled at this point.
I think LPL is the operative instead of playoff in that sentence, as we are getting some vintage LPL chaos in this game number 2. You know, I hope we'll get a replay of that fight, because I'd really love to talk about how Shanks ulting without the rest of his team in any position to follow up is maybe not the move moving forward, but the gold lead that AL had generated for themselves, it just completely disappeared in that team fight. Weibo has completely gotten themselves back into the game. They have put themselves in a great spot to be able to move forward, and look at where the gold is. We talked about it needing to be on some priority targets, and Bess is obviously strong, but so is this Kalista now with 2 kills for Light. Gonna get this replay here. This shockwave, it just only lands on Breathe. He's so separated. There's no way for him to be able to fight this out. He just gets completely picked off. I get if you want to go for the pincer play and you feel like you have to make that work, but that means that the bottom side of that fight has to step up. It didn't happen. Bad coordination, and here we are.
Feats of Warfare were picked up there. We'll nearly secure the Feats of Strength here for Weibo. Is a little adage. Doesn't show up on the gold graph. And we are in for a wonky one, because like we talked about early, there are very few scaling threats in this game. The tankiness of TM, the Orianna on one side, but a lot of early game action that is fallen flat. We are 5 kills deep, about 17 minutes in. A couple turrets being taken on the other side, and came in. What does that really tell you about who can find the win here? The confidence of the macro execution of AL in the last game, or maybe what we've seen in these recent minutes out of Weibo? Where's your head at?
Oh, well, right now my head's at KL and a potential huge
I didn't see Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan is on the flank. This could be a huge problem. This is a big
fight.
Breaker.
Ash Arrow, can he secure the Ren? No, the Ren takes it away from Tarzan, so they stop the Dragon stacking. Now Weibo, yeah, let's get out of dodge quickly. No reason to fight. Execution is what closed out that game 1 that they really took over. But Weibo, execution-wise and team fighting, and post 20-minute mark, which we're about to crest, was what got them the 5-game win over JDG. They're going to drop the Rift Herald here mid, try to break open the map.
In the late game is 1-3-1 on the Orianna right now in Shanks, and that could potentially be a big issue for them moving forward. One shockwave, though, you know, I say all this, right?
Yep.
Like,
one shockwave.
That's all it takes.
I will say, though, the more worrying thing may be that the flip side of the scaling conversation is Breathe on this best end of the Nidalee that we're really afraid of even being able to thrive and comfortably scale. Has got a pretty good pass, and how useful is Flandre really going to be for the rest of this game? Because you can't side lane match the Mesa. You can't hit the arrows so far for Hope as well. The Shockwave and Season Assist, though, is enough of an ailment to knock down Xiaohu. Don't need the crystallized stun of the arrow. First pick found here for AL, but they use a ton of ultimates to try and go for it. No Shockwave, no Season Assist, no arrow. So is Weibo going to be able to punish? No, because Erhan nearly gets chunked out completely by Hope, who pops the Ghost. Newland's Legend have control of the Octagon pit. They get the pick. They're still down ultimates, and still, Weibo are not clear and concise, trying to find a team fight right now. Does CN have a Miracle Seal? Can Breathe find the big public execution? All of it's about to go down here as they are circling and entrapping AL, daring them to try and 50-50 this Octagon. That's what they're going to get. Hostile takeover hits onto 4 members as Erha and Breathe fly in, and they set up Light to go wild with the Kalista. AL trying to bite off an Octagon that they just could not chew, and it gives them so much runway in the name of Weibo Gaming.
Oh, what a fight from Weibo. We had just been complaining.
That fight definitely going to get the fan aspect of this matchup a bit more riled up. Saw some Weibo fans looking a bit distraught. I'd like to see that team fight win. Some of the loudest fans in that JDG matchup nonetheless. And Weibo really cruising along that Octagon fight win. They got the grubs. They've got complete control of this bot side. They're going to take a tier 2 and even up the Drake count. For once, I'm asking AL, what does their response look like? Because a tier 1 on the top side is a very small consolation prize compared to the double-decker trophy that Weibo just grabbed.
Yeah, things start to get... He wants to go on that vision at the current moment, going in favor of Weibo on the top side of the map with that Baron spawning, but still 3 minutes away from drag. We could actually look for some picks instead.
Tien, been the most active member on this Rift of anybody. Always looking to try and pick off those two squishy bottom laners.
Very, very fast, and you can also get Breathe onto the flank, which is what they're doing now.
Oh, public execution lands. They find the crown jewel of Hope, who falls first, and now all of AL's damage is gone. The encore hits onto 4 members. Hostile takeover is going to go wide as a response there from Erha. But again, AL, they can't operate in a 5v5 setting with all this burst damage, especially not with Hope. What does Flandra give you? What does Shakes get you? Nothing but survivability, and that's not going to cut it for AL right now. They're going to re-engage back onto Breathe here. Double tap lands, but Tien gets the impale onto Shakes, the primary target. Tarzan trying to bail out, but Flandra is, Breathe is going to follow him over the wall and execute him once again. The comp for anyone's legend failing them as they give up more and more gold.
Hope being the one to get caught is a disaster for anyone's legend. They don't have the damage to ever be able to burst through. It's actually a really great ultimate from KL, followed by Shanks, but they can't do much about it. Now Baron has been started. KL is here, but Jungle's not on the map. With Rend and Smite, this should be gone.
What do these 3 champions even do except fall to the seismic shove from the general? Tien secures the Baron, and now the turn comes out here. Hope and Kael gonna have to run away from the big Stormy, but Xiaohu finds the seismic shove, the perfect combination knockdown to Hope. Every laning phase may have been questionable from Xiaohu, but when it comes to fights, when it comes to end games, this guy is locked in. Sets up another kill onto Kael, and this game has completely gone away from anyone's legend, and Breathe might just sing that home, absolutely dousing Flandra in gasoline, but the match will not be lit because the flash comes out to save him for now. Oh my god, what is going on? We're just fighting everywhere. Tarzan is getting jumped on his blue buff by 4 members. Shakes tries to cover him, has to flash away from the mere sight of Xiaohu. There's nothing AL can do. There's nothing AL can take on the map right now. They are being routed.
Now this is peak Weibo gaming. When I think of what this team does at a high level, it's greed. And I know greed is often looked at as a bad thing. Not for Weibo gaming, it's not. When they win, they take everything on the map, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. They put themselves on Soul Point with 3 Hextech Drakes. Even just the perfect cleanse coming in there from Erha. Why not? Mikhails, the perfect Mikhails, who even... Oh, and it's not even over. Tien is still going forward. This time maybe a bit too far.
Oh my god, we're going after the take Skarner. We've dumped 2 ultimates into him. Okay, Hope gets the shutdown. Fate's Call gonna save Erha for now. Hope able to free fire, gets a really good first commitment. Xiaohu comes through a gate that he had no business going through, but still kills Kael. Goes into the stasis. Tarzan will shut him down. Second kill found. Shockwave hits its mark onto Erha. No bailout. Public execution though from Breathe. There's a ton of damage in that Mbessa. And Tarzan is down now, but AL still want to push the tempo, knowing that this is a window for them to break back into the game. And it's through a flurry of arrows from Hope and the damage out of Shanks. So somehow through all this pandemonium, AL get 4. Isn't much of a front line to protect these guys. From an Impale, from a Weaver's Wall. But Weibo, again, doing such a good job playing the map. We see an arrow split the uprights. Erha and Tien both don't get hit. Breathe has a flank or just a tier 3 turn if he wants to. Weibo just need to be on the same page here. Dragon is getting started up, but AL are blowing so much gold to try and stop this soul. It's going to be an inhibitor or no? Breathe's going to cancel it. Weaver's Wall comes across. Tien goes in. Encore's going to hit light, but he's starting to free hit. Shakes has to get towards the back of the pit. Hostile takeover. Going to hit onto Tarzan and Shakes. Kael goes down. Public execution comes through for Breathe, and now it's time to get the mops out, because Weibo are cleaning house 1 kill at a time. It's only Tarzan to survive, but the Hextech Soul went down, and next up on the menu, anyone's Legends Nexus, as Weibo bounce back from game 1 and even up our series.
An unbelievable team fight win there for Weibo. They set themselves up so well. I was actually concerned because of the grouping up, and it looks like it's Tarzan just juking out the entirety of Weibo. Tien's going to keep following him, but he is not going to find what he's looking for. That being said, it is a consolation prize for Tarzan to be able to escape this potential fight over the blue buff. We're just getting everything at this point. It's actually just Tarzan. Cinema here. Oh, he got it too. Credit to Tarzan.
Power on the map right now, and like we talked about, as 5, how do you even knock them down? It's an impossible task as AL are sectioned out of the pit, and they don't even get a chance at Baron. Comes across, and here is the first marker of the fight. It's Breathe trying to go wild. Hostile takeover going to hit Hope and Flandra. There's no way to play when you are taken over by Erha and the rest of Weibo. Sure, you had a massive shockwave from Shakes, but it is too little, too late. The witching hour has arrived. The midnight strike has came across in the name of Weibo, and that'll do it. 1-1 your series as this upper bracket continues to not disappoint.
And Weibo Gaming have turned the Jets back on for game number 2. You can talk about the mistakes. You can talk about some macro decisions. At the end of the day, when they get into these Team R series and keep the pressure on in game 2, Unreal
Impressive.
stuff. They played that late game so well. I want to give them a ton of credit because I think that there are a lot of teams that would have been over eager and over aggressive.